So today we're going to keep talking about chapter 9, aggression. And for this Friday, I'm going to have this Halloween party. We still have some class, but it's going to be relaxing. I'll bring candy, and costumes are encouraged. If you want to wear costumes, I think we had students do that before in the past years. Just too cold, don't worry about it. But I'll be here. And today we're going to talk about why do we harm other people. We're going to talk about those factors one by one. Okay, so class discussion. I'm glad that we have two students here because otherwise I'm going to just kind of skim through this. So do you feel that people have been more aggressive since the onset of COVID-19 measures? Why not?
I feel like yes. I feel like everyone's a little bit more on edge.
Uh-huh.
And I know, on Twitter, everyone's always ready to jump down each other's throats. But I feel like, especially since COVID-19 started, there's even more reasons to do it. Where someone won't be social distancing, and everyone jumps down their throat or something like that. So I feel like everyone's just a little more on edge and uneasy.
I agree.
Yeah.
Can you define aggression one more time?
Yeah, aggression is with the intention to cause harm, either physically or psychologically.
Yeah, I don't know. So thinking of people's intentions, I don't know if people's intentions have changed. To call, I don't know if people are necessarily going about thinking I want to cause harm, but I would say it's gotten way more hostile.
Okay.
You know what I mean? At least from.
So intention. Let's say a customer goes to a store. I don't know if you've seen those videos. They don't wear a mask, and they become very aggressive. And then the other party who wants them to wear a mask because they think they're putting other people at risk, they become aggressive. Do you think consciously they are trying to harm the other, or it's kind of unconsciously they're causing the harm? What do you guys think?
That's difficult. In those cases, I would probably say they're consciously trying to. I think they're consciously trying to cause harm.
Maybe not they're trying to get other people contagious, or they want to spread the virus, but more
when people don't wear masks. Sorry.
Yeah, or either side, when they cuss at each other, you mofo, why don't you care about others? Do you think their intentions are to cause psychological harm?
Yeah, so in the case of the mask, I think that was unconscious.
Uh-huh.
I don't think anybody's now wearing a mask with the intent of I'm gonna get as many people sick as possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think people don't wear a mask because some of them don't believe in it, so they're thinking they're not causing harm. They truly believe I'm not endangering anybody by not wearing a mask because COVID-19 isn't real. Masks don't do anything, and so then they might be causing harm, but it's an unconscious. They don't realize that they are. They're not trying to.
Okay, very good. There's some very disgusting videos online that people intentionally spit on groceries, like fruits, on elevator, and got caught on camera. So those will be intention, right? Yeah. Okay, very good. So what are people doing or not doing that you might have expected to happen in a situation like this during COVID?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so let's say what kind of behaviors or inaction, people try to avoid something during COVID-19. I'll give you an example. People usually wouldn't go to a store and make a video saying, "Hey, I'm not wearing mask." I don't know if you've seen those on YouTube. Sometimes people wants to get attention, so they go to store. They try to engage in confrontation. They intentionally not wearing mask, or they wear mask but not wear any clothes and try to fight the system, like try to cause problems for other people and then have this confrontation. So that would be a behavior that people are seeking attention. They want to get views, so they behave like this, and then it creates aggression in both parties. Do you see any other behavior? Online students, you can also chip in. I'm gonna adjust the volume so you don't startle me this time. It was too loud last time. Okay, you can just unmute yourself if you have something to say. Oh, sorry. Francis said there has also been an increase in domestic violence, child abuse since COVID quarantine became prominent. A little because of stress, but also a little more relaxed because it makes it easier to get around when there's few people around. Yeah. So would you expect that domestic violence will increase?
Yes.
Okay.
People are spending more time at home.
Okay. Yeah. What other behaviors do you think you would expect? Do you expect those protests, those riots?
No. See, that was something that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Surprising to see it get so.
I forgot if I pushed the button. Did I? I did. Okay, just want to make sure. Okay. Yeah. So you don't expect the riots and the protests. What about you?
I didn't expect the riots and protests to happen, at least not at the scale that they did happen.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I? Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm not super. Like I don't keep up too much. That's but is that stuff still happening? Like is that still?
Is this still happening?
Riots and protests.
They don't report it as often, but I think protests are still happening.
Okay.
Yeah, protests are still happening. Would you say that you were surprised when you hear about the protests and the riots?
I was surprised, but like this year has been crazy, so I wasn't that surprised.
Okay. All right. So I wasn't too surprised because think about it. Racism has been around for so long, and police brutality has been around for so long. Again, we're not saying that there are a lot of these cases. They're just cases somewhere, and it's not like they're not reported. They're reported. People have not done anything for so long, and then suddenly during COVID, people start to act. And a lot of psychologists, their hypothesis is that they have this stress, and they don't have. We're gonna talk about this. When you have a situation that causing you stress, frustration, and you don't know who to blame exactly, and you don't know who to retaliate. You need to find a target. So when they have the stress, when the economy is not doing well, they have to do something. And going protesting, you can kind of have your identity hidden because of mask, and you can choose to wear a mask during protest. You don't need to worry too much about responsibility when you cause destructions and stuff. And then people follow. So a lot of psychologists, they are actually not surprised. People just need a way up. You keep looking at their eyes. I thought,
I'm sorry, no,
oh, you're good. Gotcha. So, yeah, a lot of people, we're actually not surprised when people are acting kind of aggressively during this time. All right. Any other behavior that you want to talk about?
I'm trying to think of other. I don't know why I'm blanking. The domestic violence one is really it's not surprising, but it's
Mhm.
like, I don't know, it's like it makes sense, but it's sad that it makes sense. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of times when we don't talk about it, but it's pretty common in public, we don't even think about it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I want you guys to really think about how situations might change people's behavior or like the whole society's behavior, right?
Yeah. Someone left a comment.
Oh, okay. Thanks. I know the pandemic increased suicide rates. I even know a few adults from my community at home that have. Oh yeah. So based on a survey in the U.S., they said that over 70% of adults have experienced depression-like symptoms during COVID. Are you surprised? No?
I think that this time has caused a lot of people to kind of question their purpose and their meaning. Because when we're all like have to stay home, like a lot of the things I think people pour themselves into and find purpose in, what was either work or the activities that they were able to do. And once you take those things away, now they're like, I think it sends people in a mental state of kind of feeling very isolated and.
Yeah, and there's this theory in psychology. It's called terror management. Is usually we don't think about life or death, right? And we just behave like it's another day. However, what if I tell you when you're gonna die? Like, if I tell you, I know as a doctor, you're gonna die in 2 weeks. Your behavior will change drastically, right? You're not going to, oh sorry, I forgot to mute my phone. You're not going to school, well, hopefully. You're not going to like go to work and work 8 to 5, knowing that you're gonna die in 2 weeks. Yes? Okay. So that's called terror management. During COVID, people start to think about life and death, and their behavior might change from their normal behavior. Okay, very good, very good. Any questions before we jump into the lecture? Okay. Okay. So why do we harm other people? The evolutionary factor includes that physical aggression allows people, especially men, to gain valuable resources and attack out-group and defend their in-group. Do you guys know about out-group, in-group? Okay. If you don't, let me know, and then I will explain that a little bit. It let people secure high status, and they will get the best mates and protect their mates. Okay, so that was the evolutionary factors. It especially influenced men, and that's why we were talking about whether there was gender differences in aggression. Right? For biological factors, we have genetics. So what studies have found is that aggressive and criminal behavior is highly correlated for identical twins. I know the pandemic increased. Oh, wait. What was the last point? Get the best mates and protect. Oh, okay. Yep. Okay. Oh, so study have found that aggressive and criminal behavior is highly correlated for identical twins. So again, they're doing twin studies and see whether the correlation is high. I think it's 0.7, which is pretty high. One example that I'm going to give you is the Morris twins in the NBA. Do you guys know about them? Okay, so they're also called like the evil twins, or the evil twin tower, or Hurricane Markeith and Hurricane Cuss. That's their nicknames. I'm going to show you a short clip. It's long, but I'm going to show you a little bit. They are known to be very aggressive in the league.
Being delete it where you're watching this game. But what we're hearing, and Marcus Morris stirred it up with Doncic.
Now you have to realize as the Clippers, you're in the head of Dallas.
The Bullets said they were going to lose to the Bucks in 4 in the NBA Finals. That kid's looked pretty good so far, Mitchell Robinson. Simmons. Trying to toss it to Embiid, here's help.
Alright, so this video is like 10 minutes long of them fighting with other players. And we can see that there's a high correlation. Some people might argue it could be the situation because they grew up together, they experienced similar things, but we know that genetics also plays a very important role. Alright, next we have amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. Those areas affect our ability to regulate our emotions. So when we have this impulse, when we have anger, we need those to function normally to regulate our emotions. If people have some kind of abnormality in those areas, or when they develop, it didn't develop to normal parts, it might affect their ability to do so. What they did is they study murderers and death row inmates' brain and see whether they're different from normal people. Also, I want you to know that psychopaths, they are different. So for psychopaths, they're not like they can't regulate their emotions, it's that they lack of emotions. So they really don't have regular emotions like other people. It's hard for them to get angry, right? So they don't need to regulate emotions. It's just they can't empathize, so they behave cruelly. Okay? Right, any questions on this brain part? Yeah.
Oh, I guess we're probably gonna get to more stuff, so this question might be later, but
Are you good?
is it true that testosterone is not like a leading cause of aggression?
We're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that right here. So hormones, testosterone, we kind of talked about it last week, right? So the male sex hormone, also called the testosterone, leads to more aggression. So we found a strong positive correlation. To answer your question, there's no causation. We still don't know whether testosterone actually causes aggression. We just found that when people behave more aggressively, their testosterone level goes up. Or when people's testosterone level goes up, they're more likely to be aggressive. So we found this positive correlation. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
No, I took psychology of women,
Uh-huh.
and I remember talking about in that class.
Yeah.
I guess there was a study where they gave women testosterone
Uh-huh.
to see if it made them more aggressive. But they did it in the case of like, I think they did it in games basically to see if they made, like I don't think it made them more physically aggressive, but they were trying to see like does it make people, because I think it was like an economics game, and they basically like, or like a gambling game, and they were making riskier bets to have more testosterone. But it was just an interesting. I was like, I've been told a lot of my life that like that's why men are going to be aggressive, kind of like the boys will be boys type thing. But, I don't know.
Yeah, and if you remember, men are more likely to physically harm other people, to commit what's it called, homicide, and be sex offenders. However, we also need to consider in their regular state. Let's say women, their regular state is about testosterone level is about, I forgot the unit, but let's say from 1 to 10, women it's about 3, and then men it's about 6, regular, in regular state. And they're used to it, so they learn how to behave with that level of testosterone. Suddenly you increase that testosterone levels, so let's say women from 3 to 6, so they're the same as men. Would they still behave the same aggressiveness, or men would be kind of normal? They're not being very aggressive, but women are being more aggressive compared to their rest state. but they have the same level of testosterone, right? So that would be like an experiment to see how does it affect people exactly. And it's kind of hard to separate them because you need to consider the rest states. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then we have serotonin. They inhibit people's aggression. So that will be a negative correlation. When you have higher serotonin, you're less likely to be aggressive towards other people. Serotonin also is correlated with subjective well-being. If you have more serotonin, you tend to report that you're happier. Okay. Any questions? Good. All right. And next we have cultural factors. So the culture of honor, this is a social norm when people have strong concern about their own and others' reputations, so that they condones or encourages responding to insults with aggression. One example will be the Southern culture. And can you think of any personal example or personal experience that reflects this culture of honor? I'll give you one quick example. So this is from your book. So the US, they have more homicides in the South than in the North. And one factors, or one reason that they think is because people are more likely to respond aggressively towards any kind of insults. So when there's a confrontation or insults, the aggression are more likely to escalate in the South. All right. Can you think of any example?
Examples of like aggression in the South, are you asking for?
Yeah, or if you have experienced culture of honor in any other places that affects people's aggressive level. Like people being aggressive because they think their honor is being insulted.
I mean, I know like all throughout school,
Uh-huh.
like, especially I feel like in like middle school, kind of high school.
Are you from here?
Just, yeah, in Texas.
Okay.
I think pretty in general, but at least know my own experience. Like I feel like a lot of people matured by high school enough to know like, okay, like that's how I was response. But like in elementary, middle school is kind of one of those things that guys, like if someone would like insult you, or like I remember it got tossed around a lot, like gay was just a word that people would say, oh, you're gay, or this is gay and stuff. And so anybody who would try and demasculate someone, the natural response was to fight them, either with words, verbally or physically, to show like, no, I don't know, like that's can't, you know.
Yeah. So I don't really know how that's different from the North in the US, because when I came here, I went to North Carolina. So I spent almost 10 years in the South. I don't have like a comparison. That's why I kind of want to see if you guys experience that difference. Okay.
You could say like, maybe like, I don't know if this is the example you're looking for, but like in a movie, you know, in like a typical movie, it's like the prom date and like the dad shows up with a shotgun in a typical South movie. And he's standing at the door and like watching like his daughter go off to prom. And that's like a culture of honor.
Yeah. It's definitely some kind of stereotypes that I see more often in the South, movies or media. Yeah. Very good. So there's this study. Oh, a lot of people have commented. I didn't see it. Sorry. Actually, I'm going to just talk about this studies before I read the comments, just in case I forget. It's not in the notes or in the PowerPoint, so make sure you remember this. So there's this study in the US. It was back in 1966, I think. It's back then. So they studied comparing Northerners in the U.S. and the Southerners, and they did this experiment. They had people bump into them, and then say "asshole" to them, and see how they would react. What they found is that Northerners are more likely found it amusing, but Southerners are more likely to find it aggressive. They want to kind of fight back. I don't know whether that generates to today's society, but that's what they found back then using this psychology experiment. Okay, so growing up, my dad encouraged my brother to smack kids who were rude to him. He probably meant it figuratively, but honestly, not completely sure. Okay. I imagine in gangs, this plays an even bigger role. We're a Texas family. He also encouraged my brother to hurt any boy that hurt my feelings. Same. Okay. So you have this agreement of culture that could influence people's aggressive behavior, right? Okay. All right, very good. So we kind of talked about why here. It could be what you learned from your parents. What else do you think might cause this difference between the South and the North? Yeah.
I feel like in some way, like in some parts of the culture of honor, it's somewhat like tradition, and somewhat showing like I feel like a lot of the culture of honor is like connected with family, or just connected it's either connected to like a relationship or connected to a tradition in some way that you're defending.
Yeah. So let's say if Southerners, they are more family oriented. Let's say if they, because we talked about they have strong concern about their own and others' reputation. It could be their family's reputations, right? As I think Riley said that your sister's feelings got hurt. You need to defend her, right? You need to be aggressive. So it could be traditions or family values, right? All right. Any other ideas why there's a difference in culture of honor between the South and the North, besides traditions, family values? It could be moral values, right? Your moral foundation, kind of like if you are, I don't know, more conservative, more tradition, you are more likely to have this high honor values. Right? Again, there's no correct answers. I'm trying to brainstorm. Right. So we have this precarious manhood hypothesis. That's when a man's gender identity of strength and toughness may be lost under various conditions, and that loss can trigger aggressive behavior. So that would be the hypothesis. So men are socialized to avoid gender inappropriate behavior. Usually the punishment is typically more severe. I'm going to explain this a little bit more. And men are more likely to engage in risky behaviors after gender threats. So this is an example. When a woman wears men's suit, we tend to find it kind of normal. Like we're not gonna see, okay, that's weird. But when a man wears a woman's dress, people will have stronger feelings towards that, right? And people tend to say things towards that. Maybe not as severe right now because of the political correctness movement. But back then, you will see a very strong, different opinions towards those. That's why we say that men are socialized to avoid gender inappropriate behavior, right? And the punishment, like verbally or physically, are severe for men. Any questions on this? It's pretty straightforward. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you think the reason why men could respond to like losing their gender identity with aggression, do you think like the aggression is like to compensate for like, losing their gender identity?
Yeah, it could be like what you just said. When you are called gay, you might fight back, and you might use that as evidence that I'm not gay, I'm man, right? Yeah. It could be that mentality, but it could be something else, right? I don't know exactly. I never experienced this, so it's just my imagination. If you guys have other better idea, please feel free to share. So I think that men are also taught to be that way. Oh, just like what you mentioned, like your parents would teach the boy, your brother, to behave aggressively when they are insulted. So it's like a taught behavior, a learned behavior. It could be some other reasons, but I'm not sure. If you guys have other hypotheses, please feel free to share.
No, I agree. I don't
Okay.
think that strength and toughness are, like, culturally the most, what people put under manhood, kind of the top, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so, like, I agree, even physical aggression. You know what I mean? So I think that it's like strength and toughness are downplayed, like our go-to is always to find the most masculine, you know what I mean, to kind of lean into that as much as possible. And usually that tends to be aggression.
Yeah. Well, I hope that answers your question. Okay. All right. So let's do another quick discussion. This is from New York Times Post. They found that men are less likely to wear face masks because they are not cool and a sign of weakness. I actually see a lot of interviews. In Austin, they'll be like, "Do you want me to wear a mask?" Nah, don't worry about it. It's a strange behavior. So do you think that putting your health and safety at risk, manly, like, I don't care. If I get COVID, I'll get COVID. Do you guys think that's manly?
No.
No. Well, how would you describe that?
Stupid.
Stupid. All right. Anyone think that's a manly? Okay. I feel like this also applies to all the guys that wear shorts. What? I feel offended. I wear shorts in cold weather, but it's only because I don't like pants. They're tight and no, you're good. You're good. Well, just give you some insights why some men wear shorts. It's just more comfortable because comparing the comforts of wearing shirts and coldness, the uncomfortableness of cold, I prefer wearing shorts. But I agree. Maybe some people think wearing shorts might, I don't know, draw attention.
In elementary school, like I know in elementary school that was one of those things you'd see people wear shorts, and it was just everyone's like, "Wow, are you not cold?" And I'm like, "Nah, I can handle cold."
Really?
Yeah, I was like, "What?" Like, I don't understand. I was thinking with this. I feel like there's a cultural, like whether it be honor or something like that, where it's like men are supposed to be the ones who sacrifice, or men will suffer for what is honorable. But the thing is, like if we go to war, you know what I mean? I feel like it's like 7% men. You know what I mean? But it's like. The thing is, I feel like guys take that and they just apply to every day. Like they'll choose to put themselves in situations when it's like no one's asking you to do that. like it's like no one's asking you to prove what you're willing to do.
Yeah.
You just put yourself to show how manly you are.
See, that makes sense. Because of feedback, people are like, "Aren't you not cold?" kind of encourage them to wear shorts, right? I never got that feedback. So I didn't get it. Like, I didn't really get it at first, but now I get it. I can imagine growing up if I'm like younger, let's say middle school, and then I wear shorts in cold weather, and then if other guys or girls ask me, "Hey, you wearing shorts?" I don't know. I might feel I'm getting attention, and I think I might like that, and then I'm gonna keep wearing shorts. Maybe, but yeah. That definitely makes sense. So yeah. So I wouldn't say that's manly if we define it correctly.
No,
Yeah.
Is that more pride?
Oh,
Yeah, pride. I want to say pride or being stupid, not logical. Yep, so what can we do about this? People that think, oh, wearing shorts is manly, or not wearing mask is manly. What do you think we can reduce this kind of behavior?
I feel like the less you draw attention to it,
Exactly.
the less attention they're not receiving from it, so they're probably more likely they.
Exactly.
I think we learned about it in this class, positive
Reinforcement?
reinforcement. That's the word. Thank you. Yeah, we positively reinforce the other side. Show them.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I think that in this case, people. Well, I know you kind of have to be able to find the target audience that men are judging that. You know what I mean? Because the truth is, I think it is about feedback. You know what I mean? I think there's a select few that are just giving themselves so much feedback. They're just telling themselves like, you're so much more of a man for this, and that's enough to drive them. But it's like, I think majority. I've also found in my own experience that I feel like a lot of this comes from. Like, it's funny because like sometimes I see that the more people try and be manly, the more I feel like you see insecurity. That it's like,
Exactly.
there's something that you're insecure about in your own manhood that you're feeling you have to overcompensate.
Exactly. We kind of talked about. No, we didn't talk about it in textbook. When you have lower self-esteem, you're more likely to want to draw attention from other people. You want to seek confirmation, right? So yeah, maybe find ways to boost their self-esteem, and maybe not giving them positive feedback while they're doing this kind of stupid behavior, right? Also, we can reduce the feedback that's negative when they are wearing masks, right?
Yeah.
Maybe educate them. You're actually harming yourself and other people. Some people might not even realize that, or they don't have enough information to make that decision, right? So more education can help with this kind of behavior. Very good. Any other thoughts, feedback? So Hope says, I know there's been some movements that are pushing and wearing a mask is protecting one's family, which appeals to this kind of thing. Yeah, very good. Yeah. So the study has found that a lot of older people, when they get COVID, it's not like they go outside. It's more like their family members got COVID and then they go back home and then spread it to them. So very good. You're protecting your family by wearing masks. Very good. Okay. And then we have socialization factors. Why do we harm others? You remember the observational learning, right? You observe others' behavior and then you mimic that. So, do you guys remember the Bandura's bubble doll experiment? Okay, so I don't need to go into details. Okay, very good. So, think about this. When we have kids in the future, if you want to have kids, what can we do to decrease their aggressive tendencies? Knowing they have observational learnings skills.
I guess you would have to control your own aggressive tendencies and make sure your kids aren't using that type of behavior, whether or not it's like on TV or you yourself are engaging in aggressive tendencies.
Very good. So yourself learn how to control and not to behave violently, not at least in front of the children, so that they can learn from it. Very good, very good. And you mentioned about TV. How does that influence? Like, what would you do?
I guess you would like monitor what your kids are watching and make sure they're not watching anything too violent especially when they're young.
Yeah, yeah.
I was gonna mention video games. Now I'm pretty sure that there have been studies showing that there's not as much of a correlation between. I'm not sure that's true. Maybe
So it's there's conflicting information. Some people find there's correlation. Some people don't find a correlation. But there's this meta-analysis. You guys know about meta-analysis, right? Yeah. So they use a dozen of studies to look at the overall effect. Is that they find a correlation between violent video games and aggressive behavior and tendencies. Again, the findings are not very consistent, but they do have some kind of findings supporting this hypothesis. So to be safe, it'd be like maybe let them play less violent video games or educate them while they play it.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think it's like, I mean, I know that when I was granted, I still feel like it's kind of young. Like I wasn't allowed to play M-rated games until I think I was in middle school. But even middle school, I was like, M-rated means 18 plus, which no one does. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But now we're letting like first graders play. I don't know.
Yeah.
The general age of when you can play streaming games is just gradually gone down.
Yeah. So I would agree that putting age restriction on games or films, it's smart. Yeah. All right. Any other? So we talked about video games, we talked about TV shows, and then as parents, your own behavior. Any other thoughts how you can decrease children's aggressive tendencies?
I think, I don't know how, I think it applies. I don't know how much interesting question, but it was interesting to me. So like I said, that psychology of women class, we talked about aggression at one point.
Yeah.
And I do think that with guys, like what the girls were talking about, I do think that there's definitely a culture like being raised and like if someone is messing with you, like punch them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fight them. Or if someone's whether it be your sister or your girlfriend or your wife or just girls in general, it's like you can fight anybody who's gonna harm them too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what my professor brought up that was really interesting to me is she was like, we teach like boys don't hit girls. Like, don't hit girls. We don't teach them don't hit people. We just teach you don't hit, like I would never hit a girl. You know what I mean, that's something I hear guys say all the time. But it was interesting that she was talking about domestic violence.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much this, like, I don't know every domestic violence case and stuff like that, so I don't know how common it really is. But she was talking about how you never hear girls say like, oh, you don't hit girls or you don't hit boys. I just don't hear girls say it at all. You know, it's like I don't think we teach the next generation don't hit people. We teach don't hit specific people, or we don't say it. And she was just mentioning like, I mean, granted the class was like over 100 something girls and like a few guys, you know. But she's talking about like girls, what's gonna happen if, like, what do you think a guy's gonna do if you hit them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're natural to like, what we're taught to do is to hit back, and I was just like, whoa, that's. And she's like, do you think they're gonna hit harder? And everyone's like, well, yeah. You know, and I was like, ooh, that's a scary thing to think that happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So linked to what you just said, to observational learning, could be helping your kids to choose their peers wisely, right? Some kind of peers might be violent. When they observe that behavior is normal around them, they're gonna pick up, they're gonna learn from it. So if they observe less violence in their life, they are less likely to be aggressive in the future. All right, very good, very good. So next we have the emotional or motivational factors. So we have the frustration aggression theory. And this suggests that frustration increases our aggressive responses. So frustration occurs when we are prevented from attaining our goals, especially when the goals are important to us. Okay? And then we have the scapegoat theory. That's when the cause of frustration is vague or when we can't retaliate against the source of frustration. We tend to direct aggression to an easy target. And we kind of mentioned this at the beginning of the class. Some example would be when the economy is bad, who to blame exactly? You don't really know, right? We need to find a target. And you can't smack your boss when he yells at you, otherwise you lose your job. That's when you have your aggressive behavior towards other people. Let's say you go back home, you yelled at your wife because you had a bad day, or yelled at your mom because you had a bad day. So that's the scapegoat theory. All right, any questions on this? We don't have much time left, so I'm going to just show you this pretty funny clip before I answer this question. Okay, so my mom refused to let my younger brother play any video game that killed humans. He could play as many games that allow the killing of monstrous creatures and aliens, but not humans. He didn't want him to associate the positive feelings of winning a game. Yeah, that's pretty good. Can we go back to the frustration for a second? Yes, just for a second though, because we don't have much time. Sorry about that. We had longer discussion than expected, but you can go back to the PowerPoint slides to make up the notes. All right, cool. Okay. Hey, hold on. Okay.
Why you reading, bitch?
Because I like to read. This is a really good book.
You're a really good bitch. Bitch.
Why you gotta bother me, man?
Because I'm not doing very well at school. I'm reading at a 3rd grade level. I really don't want to get left back. So when I see somebody reading for fun, it makes me feel that much more stupid. And then I get mad.
I didn't know that. Thanks so much for opening up to me.
Shut up, queer.
I don't understand. Why you gotta go there?
I've been having sexual fantasies about some of the other guys at school. Give me that. I'm afraid of these feelings and what they might mean. It's like because I hate myself so much, I gotta point that hate outward towards you.
You understand this on such a deep level that
I don't understand. Now I'm gonna punish you physically for acknowledging my emotional problems.
Wait, I was gonna say, if you understand yourself so well, then maybe you should try working on changing it.
Of course I want to change it. But it's the only defense mechanism I have against deeper, more terrifying problems buried inside of me. Lucky my dad's here. Get the damn tough, son. I need to take you home and be on you because I hate myself. And you look like your mama who left me. And I'm gonna block out the guilt I feel for mistreating you with the river vodka. I'm gonna internalize that and unknowingly transfer it onto you tomorrow. Coming reluctantly.
It's funny, but it kind of tells us some kind of insight or psychological factors that shows in a lot of the aggressive behavior in school, right? Something to think about. Well, we don't have time, but think about this. Based on your experience, what are some other emotions that might increase aggression? We kind of talked about sadness, some other emotions. And how do you regulate emotions to decrease aggression? Something to think about. It could be useful in life. All right, that's it. Unless you have any questions, I'll see you on Friday.
Thank you, Mr. Wan.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Are you getting ready?